All right, Toby Maguire, famous movie star, A-list celebrity, #1 Spider-Man. I don't know, this was kind of going viral recently. He's 49. He's dating a 20-year-old actress, Lily Chi. Scroll down a little bit, Nick, so we can see some of the other stories. It was on Daily Mail. People are having mixed thoughts on this. So he's 49. She's 20. And just pull up the next tab. What's the next tab? Some photos here. So they responded to the party recently. What's the next? Click the next one. The next, no. Yeah, that one. Okay. So 49, 20. They're dating. Cool. So do you guys object, any of you object going around the table to the age gap right after this?
Conservative women dress conservatively, as in not look like a whore. As a real military vet, Mason, don't join. The military is run by feminists and women in awful roles thinking they know everything.
Yeah.
I'm not a feminist, I love it.
I've heard, I've gotten this comment a lot. I'm still going to join the military. The community I'm trying to get into, I'm trying to go into AFSPEC war, dominated by a lot of very conservative men. I know that there are aspects of the military that are feminist, pro, whatever, but from the pararescuemen I've talked to, actual guys in the career field, has very little to do with the day-to-day job. The day-to-day job is still awesome. It still speaks to me at like a very deep level. It's exactly what I want to do. So I understand the sentiment, but again, if we want to fix the problem, not doing anything about it is not the way to go about fixing that problem. I think we need to be in there, especially as conservative men, we need to be involved in those spaces to fix the problems that are internal. And it's not going to happen if we're just be like, we'll just let it figure itself out.
All right, thank you, Beating Cheeks. Okay, so back to the topic at hand. Toby Maguire, 49. He's dating a 20-year-old. Any objections there? So you're 21, right?
Yes, I am 21.
Okay, maybe you have some thoughts?
I personally would not date someone that age. Would make me feel uncomfortable. But this situation does not affect me whatsoever. It's not my relationship. I can choose what I want to do as a person, but I'm not gonna, I don't know. It's an interesting story, but I don't see how it affects me.
It doesn't affect you.
I know.
Right, but so like, for example, probably there's conflicts out in the world that don't affect you personally, but you have thoughts on them regardless.
Yeah, of course.
So, I mean, if you had to just give us, your own view.
I hope that she's okay and she feels safe and it's not like an imbalance of power and that she has thought a lot about it. That being said, I can't make those decisions for her. I feel like you can try to help someone as much as you want, but at the end of the day, you can really only help yourself.
Well, for what reasons would you choose to help her?
I think I would probably just be like, hey, are you in a consensual, safe relationship? Ask about the nature of it, see if it's but at the end of the day, it's not my decision.
But so you think just simply by virtue of the discrepancy in age that those questions would be warranted?
I think it depends on the situation, but yes, I do. Just because that is a pretty decent age gap.
So you would not feel the need to ask those kinds of questions, for example, if it was like a 21 and a 21-year-old dating?
Well, I feel like it depends on the context. You feel like there's a lot of instances where someone can feel unsafe in a relationship, someone can feel like there's a power imbalance, and it's not just to do with age. There's other factors as well.
Like what?
I don't know, just if someone is acting in a toxic way, if someone is... I know there's certain topics that we can't talk about on this podcast, so I'm going to refrain, but I think there's a lot of instances where there can be power imbalances in a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Does that have to do with SA? Is that what you're talking about?
I would say so, but I don't really want to talk about that more on the podcast because I know that's one of the topics we're not supposed to discuss.
Well, how about I just give you a pass and you just use the word essay so that you can tell us what you're
Peter
talking
Cheeks
about?
donated $200. As an ex-PJ, I'll let you know, lose weight, swim a lot, and learn to get beat down. It ain't about the muscles anymore, it's mental. Also, women won't win the age gap argument, it's just about the...
All right, thank you, Bean Cheeks. Appreciate it.
I love being there.
Okay, so I'm a little confused. So something about power dynamics and these women being potentially essayed because of the power dynamic, or?
Well, I don't necessarily feel comfortable talking about a topic like that because it is really sensitive, and I don't feel comfortable talking about that on the internet, so I'm going to refrain from that specifically. But there are power imbalances in a relationship. I've had friends where there is power imbalances and I know they don't feel safe in their relationship, and I'll check in on them, offer them support, tell them that if they need help, I'm here for them. If they need someone to talk to, if they need help getting out of the relationship, I'm here for them. But at the end of the day, if you're in a bad situation, the only person who can get you out is yourself.
So you said you've had friends who you know who are in relationships where there's a skewed power dynamic.
Yes, I think we can all agree as women that we've had friends that have been in toxic relationships.
Hold on, well,
Age-based?
yeah, but power dynamics
Just
is a
in
very
general.
specific thing.
Yeah.
For example, you could be in a relationship where there is no power dynamic, but it's toxic. So I'm a little confused there. Are you conflating power dynamic with just toxic relationship?
No, I think I was using toxic as a blanket term, but looking back on it now, I would say that I think it is very common for relationships to have a power imbalance. I don't know if anyone disagrees with that. They can, of course, interject. But
So when you say power dynamic, what you say it's very common. You're in college.
Yes.
So even your girlfriends who are in college, who are dating college guys, they're encountering power dynamics.
Well, like you were talking about with SA earlier, SA does function on a power imbalance. You're holding physical power over someone else.
So these women
So
are getting
yes.
essayed by their boyfriends?
Yes, sometimes that does happen. Crazy idea.
Sure, but I mean,
So why did you bring it up in the context of age? Because being
the
physically
context of age.
being physically dominant in a relationship between a man and a woman, the man is 99.999% of the time going to be they're going to be stronger, more powerful, able to dominate their woman. So why did this come into the context of Toby Maguire being 49 and his girlfriend being 20?
Well, because
Is that only an age gap?
I think it depends on the situation. It's not only an age gap, but if you asked me what I thought on the situation, I would just want to ensure that his girlfriend was okay and that it wasn't an uncomfortable situation, that she felt safe. That's all
But
I'm
why
saying.
does him being 49 and her being, would you say 21, have to do with her being okay? Why wouldn't she be okay? What if she actually liked him?
Well, that is an instance,
does
and
it
I think that's totally a possibility. I'm not discounting that. I'm just saying that I'm trying to rule out that possibility.
I don't know, is it a G word, the thing you can say, like grooming? Or,
Yeah, that's kind of what you just referenced is what I'm alluding to. Yes,
I'm just
I
not
didn't
sure
know
if
if that was
that's-
an appropriate topic to talk about on here.
Well, again, it doesn't really have anything to do with the age. Like, terrible
Yeah.
men are going to be terrible men, regardless if they're 12 years old or if they're 50.
I don't even think this plays into a power dynamic
really
either.
doesn't.
This is like, I mean, that's criminal behavior.
Yeah.
That goes beyond just power dynamic.
Really? Yeah, that's
So
not.
I'm just confused.
And there are normal human beings that an age difference, they have met somebody and they've found a genuine connection. It has nothing to do with anything. So criminalizing that, I mean, it's obviously they have really nothing in common
Yeah.
at that point, but it's really like, it doesn't mean he's like grooming her to be somebody. Like, that's weird.
Yeah, I'm not saying that he
Don't.
automatically is.
Yeah.
I wasn't
But then
saying that
I can
either.
also ask the inverse. Is she trying to take advantage of him for his money,
Exactly.
influence, fame?
Well,
Because
duh.
it's extremely easy for women to take advantage of a man's resources. All they have to do is get some kind of legal precedent to where they can divorce, get half of their stuff, start getting a bunch of their income, and they have to do nothing for the rest of their life. And especially in Toby Maguire's case, that's a serious possibility. So I'm hoping, I assume Toby Maguire's a mature dude. He's 49 years old, seems like a mature guy, knows what he's doing, has identified this girl as someone who's going to be a good partner, loves him for being him, best Spider-Man. Yeah, and I'm hoping she does the same thing. And it seems like, I know nothing about their situation, but I would hope that they're in a good relationship.
Yeah, I agree with your points. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, your reaction to the Toby Maguire thing?
I think most women in their early 20s have no idea left, right, up, down, and Toby Maguire being 49 is being completely inappropriate dating a 20-year-old, 21-year-old.
Why?
Because he's mature. He's been around the planet. He's, understands relationship dynamics. I think that women that young should be dating much closer to their own age. And to your point about resources and things like that, the thing she's probably looking at is status. She's looking at a high status man with money, with fame, things like that. So those are the things she's attaching herself to. But in terms of, being a woman of high value, going after those things alone is low value behavior. And it's his responsibility, being the older, more mature person, to date within the maturity level that he's at, not a very vulnerable young woman who is definitely going to be taken advantage of in other ways in terms of her body and her time and her energy, and she's going to be falling in love with this guy when the chances of them actually working out are going to be pretty slim to none.
Erroneous! Erroneous!
There's a lot of buzzwords here. Vulnerable.
Yeah.
She's vulnerable.
Yeah.
He's going to take advantage of her body. Wouldn't that just apply equally back to Toby? She would be taking advantage of his body.
I know. I fully agree that it's an inappropriate match there, just age-wise.
No. But that, I think, taking advantage of somebody typically, doesn't that only go one way?
No.
Or are you saying it goes both ways?
I think it can go both ways, absolutely. But you'd have to evaluate their personalities, what their actual intent is, and all of that. But based on observation, all we got here was a storyline, right? That's all we got. We got their age.
Yeah,
that's all
dating.
we know.
Yeah,
correct.
49, 20.
Yep, that's all we got. And so I just am saying that based on not traditional, but the majority of relationships out there that are like that, the young girls are going after money, fame, status, et cetera. That's taking advantage of him. Right?
Okay.
Yep. And then likewise, he's going for the really young, vulnerable, easy, docile personality with a lot of life to go still. That's equal. Yeah.
What do you mean by vulnerable?
When you're young, when you're a teenager, when you're in your early 20s, this is both for men and women, you're a sponge. And that's a vulnerable place to be, where you're not operating from an educated, experienced position. They're vulnerable in terms of they're easily swayed, they're easily suggestible. So that's what I mean by vulnerable. They're a sponge.
So do you think
they definitely shouldn't be joining the military at that age.
I mean, I joined at 17, but
that's I know, but you definitely shouldn't have, because you're a sponge and you're easily suggestible.
Andrew,
and you don't have any autonomy. And you're just kind of a fool, right?
No, that's completely different. You're someone going in the military.
Why is it completely different?
Oh, I'll tell you. So when you go into the military, like I did at 17, you're going into a safe. When I mean safe, I mean it's structured. There's laws and rules and regulations in place.
Because there's not laws and rules and regulations in place for relationships and for marriage, even though there is. Right? You can't just randomly essay women, right? Even if you're in a relationship. There's still laws in place, even if you're not in the military, right?
I don't know why you're getting so heated, Andrew.
Well, I want an answer to the question.
There's the tone policing already.
I want to know why you think it's okay to be, when you say sponge, right? Oh, you're just a sponge. They have so much life left to live, girl.
I guess I'm just what is your point?
Hang on, let me finish, and then I'll turn it over to you. Okay, hang on, let me finish. You say, they're a sponge, they're just absorbed, they're easily influenced, right, and totally suggestible. These are your words.
Correct.
But of course, they should be joining the military because they're easily suggestible. They're like sponges. They could be easily influenced into doing things they ordinarily wouldn't do. The SA rate for women in the military is sky high. Seems like, it's a little bit of a contradiction there, right?
No, I disagree because they're two completely separate topics. Completely separate topics. The question was, do I think that that massive of an age gap is an issue? And my answer, in my opinion, is yes. I think it's an issue. I think like 10 years is appropriate as a max. But like once you start getting into like the 20s, et cetera, I think it's completely disproportionate. They're different areas of their lives, and that's my opinion.
Like where your commanding officer, for instance, who's probably going to be much older than you are, right?
That's so different, Andrew. Like one is a teacher.
Why is it different? You're suggestible, which means you can't make good decisions because you're a sponge. You're always absorbing the things that are around you. This is your logic, the entailment of your logic.
We can give each other the space to talk, but you cut me off first.
I just let you go.
You cut me off first.
Let you go.
You cut me off first.
You were done
I was in
talking.
the middle of giving my answer, and you cut me off first.
Hey, I'm done talking, and now you can't talk.
Andrew, we've done this before together. I will, but once I finish my point.
Stop talking. Let me finish.
Andrew, I'm not going to take that from you or anybody.
I'm not going to take. I'll get up and leave right now, right this second.
I'm not going to do this with you, Andrew.
Are you going to have a discourse like adults, or what? You can't finish talking, and then when I start talking,
I just have to come in and pick one of you to finish your things. Andrew gets to finish. Go ahead, Andrew.
Okay, so anyway, your line of logic would still apply to other situations. If women are easily suggestible, they're just young sponges, they're just absorbing the things around them, you say these are two different situations, as though I'm talking about them like they're the same situation. The logical entailment, though, would apply in both. That's the point.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, I didn't specify women. I said young people, both men and women, when they're in their early 20s, are very suggestible, impressionable. They're sponges. That's what I said. So I wasn't specifically talking about women. We were not talking about the military. And the difference that I was trying to articulate was that if there's a 20-year age gap between myself, as an example, and a staff sergeant that's in charge of my platoon, his job is to train me, is to educate me, is to lead me, is to build me into being a soldier. That is not the dynamic of the particular male that we're talking about. Toby Maguire's job is not to teach a 20-year-old how to be an adult and a woman and to know her rights and to know her boundaries and her limits and what she likes and doesn't like. That's not Toby's job.
That's not a staff sergeant's job either, to teach you how to be a woman.
They're two completely different topics.
That's your logic. It's your logical application. Staff sergeant's job not to teach you how to be a woman either. Okay, when you're talking about a power imbalance, if you're saying that people are so young and impressionable they can't make the decision of who they date based on an age gap, which is absurd, this logic should still apply to the situations that they can engage in, which is contractual. For instance, signing a 4-year contract for your life, right, that you then hand over to the government. If you're incapable of determining who you can or can't date, why in the world would I think that you could determine whether or not you signed your life over to the U.S. government?
So hold on, again, two completely different topics. I did not say a staff sergeant was going to teach me how to be a woman. A staff sergeant would be teaching me how to be a soldier, just to clarify.
That's right.
And in terms of the topic of, them joining the military, et cetera, again, we're not talking about that. We're talking about whether I personally, the question was whether I personally find issue with a 20-year plus age gap. I personally find an issue with it. I don't think it should be illegal. Should the woman be able to decide to do that, or a man could be reversed? Absolutely, it's their choice. It's their business. I'm just saying the question was, do I have an issue with it? And I'm saying I have an issue with it.
So then here's what I'm doing. Right, and I'm going to use my best HR tone. What I'm doing is I'm taking your applied logic that you apply in this situation and also equally applying it to other situations to see if it's consistent. It's called an analogy, right? So in this analogy, if you have a personal problem with age gap relationships based on the fact that there's power dynamics and that the woman can be super suggestible to this 49-year-old who's super powerful and these all-powerful Za, okay, then this would still apply to the fact that if she made other contracts or other, life choices, why is it that she's capable of those? You have no problem, but you have a problem in the instance of her picking her partner.
Again, these are two completely different scenarios with two.
You can keep saying that like we don't know that.
Listen, Andrew, we just disagree. So I think we should move on because we definitely disagree on this.
That's the argument?
I'm not going to keep arguing with you. I'm not going to. So we disagree. That's my opinion. I don't need you to agree with it. I don't need you to find logic in it. That's just my opinion. So I'm ready to move on.
Yeah, but I'm not really ready to move on. I'd really like you to answer to this because I don't understand the logic.
But you're going to be all by yourself.
Good for you.
Yeah, you tell that mean guy who wants logical consistency.
No, I love you, Andrew.
I don't think
That
he's
jerk.
mean. I just think it's two completely different scenarios. It's not even the same thing.
Yes, well, are apples the same as oranges?
I'm moving on, Andrew.
Are apples the same as oranges? Can you answer any basic questions? Is up the opposite of down? No, just nothing. We're just not going to answer any questions at all. What we'll do is we'll just take positions and never defend them. I'm not going to do that.
I'm not here to debate you, Andrew. We've been through this before.
What are you here to do?
I'm here for the dating conversation. I'm not here for you.
This is a conversation
I'm not
about
here for
dating.
you.
We're talking about specifically a person who's dating someone who's far older, and I'm testing the logical consistency of your position.
But I don't need you. I don't need you to decide whether my logic about whether I think a 20-year age gap is appropriate or not. I don't need your approval on that.
I didn't say you needed my approval.
So then
we're having
why,
a conversation.
It's
I don't
not
care
a
if you approve or
conversation
not.
when you're just like going to disrespect. Like I don't need that.
How's that disrespectful?
Andrew, I'm not
Is it
going to
the
do this with
tone?
you
Are you
this
going to use
time.
the HR thing? Is it the wrong tone? Is it the HR tone? Are you going to give me the HR tone speech? Don't do the HR tone speech.
No, I'm not entertaining this, Andrew. I'm not today.
Not today.
Not today.
Okay. I mean, if you don't want to engage, you don't have to engage.
Yeah,
But it's just,
I'm in my healed girl
you
era,
should.
Andrew.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to argue with you today. We're going to be friends again after this.
No, I don't take any of it personally. I don't understand why you take a position and then won't defend it.
Because
just don't get that.
okay, I'm going to tell you why, if you genuinely care to know. Because we're talking about my opinion on whether a 20-year age gap is appropriate or not. I said no, right? I don't think it's appropriate. And you
Right.
tried to bring in logic about someone joining the military, which is a completely different, like not even in the same universe, topic-wise.
Okay, so do you realize that if you bring up a hypothetical, for instance, that it's not going to map onto reality or the situation exactly, but you can still test the logic of a person to see
You
if they're
would
consistent.
need to-
Hang on.
Okay, all right,
I
go
just
ahead.
let you finish.
Go ahead.
So all I'm trying to do is this. I get that you have a problem with an age gap, right? What I'm trying to determine is why. And if you have that problem, in this instance, I would assume that in an instance which was similar, where these same traits are applied, you'd have the same problem. Makes sense to me.
So again, I'll just recap it one more time for you why it's totally different, why the logic cannot be applied to the same scenario.
Okay.
Because I'm talking about a young girl or boy, it doesn't matter what gender, going into a scenario where they don't even know they're left from right, they're up from down, they're brand new into being out of high school, they're just entering the world, etc. For a 49-year-old man or woman to come and pluck one of those two people up, you would. My first question is, why do you have an interest in someone that young? Like where is that coming from?
Because they
right?
want to bang them. They think they're hot.
And
What do you mean?
And if it's consensual, have fun, right? But I'm just saying, I personally find that disturbing. I don't think that's appropriate. Now, you want to
Why? What's inappropriate
Yeah,
about it?
why is it disturbing?
Because I think the 49-year-old, like if you guys are just trying to hook up, go for it, have fun, whatever. But I think once you start like in this scenario, because the question going back to what the actual question was, which is, do I think Toby Maguire and this 21-year-old girl, what's my opinion on that? I'm telling you, I have an opinion of that that isn't agreeing with that dynamic because that person is now in the limelight. They're surrounded by an environment where there's a lot of pressure. There's all of these different scenarios that they're going to be faced with, and they're so young. They don't even understand what that means. Now they're going to be painted as, dating someone who could be their father, in the news. Like they don't have, I could just keep going. Like I have a problem with it.
So then the same logic would apply the other way.
No, it's completely different.
Yeah, hang on. Is it my turn?
Okay,
I
go
could've
ahead.
sworn it was.
I think we need a safe word, Andrew.
So I could swear that the logic would apply the exact same here. They're young and impressionable. They don't know, as you say, they're left from their right? They're just plucked up. They're offered a bunch of incentives to do X thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of these things are true. Why is it that this woman, in this case, not even a hypothetical woman, why is it that they're incapable of judging whether or not they can date somebody with a significant age gap, but somehow are capable of deciding whether or not, hang on, let me finish. But somehow they're capable of deciding whether or not they could sign a contract for 4 years of their life, entering into a situation they also have zero experience in.
completely different. First of all, I did not say, you're adding in things I didn't say. So I did not say they're
Which
incapable of deciding whether they want to be in the relationship. I already said actually very clearly, more power to them. The question was if I have an opinion on it, and I do. I think it's bad, and
Yeah,
I
but you
don't
have
like
an opinion
it.
which is informed by a worldview.
I'm speaking from experience.
A worldview.
Okay, you got to let me finish now. Remember, we're doing
Yeah, but
this whole sharing
it's an
thing.
experience,
We're doing
it's
this
your
whole
worldview.
sharing
I'm
thing.
just clarifying
Okay.
so that you know.
All
You're
right.
speaking from a worldview, and I'm trying to investigate the worldview.
Sure. So I'm speaking from experience because I was once a young 20-year-old girl 15 years ago that was in a
Hey,
situation.
you guys can't be doing sidebar conversations when somebody else is talking. Go ahead.
That was in a situation with someone significantly older than me, and it was not a good situation for multiple reasons. There is a power dynamic difference. I was uneducated, about the person. I didn't even know what to ask. I didn't know what screening questions to ask. It was an inappropriate, horrible situation, and it was a very toxic relationship. And now, really quickly to address why I think it's so important that we separate these topics is the military is an educational system. It is a career. It is guided by instruction and education and purpose and mission and all of these things. It has nothing to do with that person on the romantic level. There's a difference between the military putting you in boots and someone trying to fuck you. There's a big
Really?
difference.
Because the last time I
Yes.
checked, the power imbalance which exists inside of the military is such that the SA rates for women are sky high due to this power imbalance, usually from male officers who have a significant age gap. Far more likely to be SA'd in that than you are in an age gap relationship.
I don't agree with
since
that.
you're drawing, how can you disagree?
One,
What's
because
the
I'm a woman in the
disagreement?
military.
Would you like the stats?
Well, first of all, I want to know where you got the stats because a lot of people throw out stats and they're not even verified stats. Second, I've been in the military. Second, I've been through an SA case, et cetera. So I know a lot about SA in the military, and I promise you it's a very small number. It's a very small number of the military. And now, in terms of like,
Wait, hang on.
no, I'm not done. And in terms of
But
like, if we're
the question
comparing,
wasn't whether or not
I'm
a
not
lot of women
done.
get SA'd
I'm
in the
not
military.
done. I'm not done. If we're comparing rates of people who get SA'd outside of the military, it's a much higher number. So I want to be really careful that we're not conflating the rates of SA between the military and the
No.
civilian
Well,
community
here's
because
what
they're
we're
not
comparing,
even
and
close.
I was going to clarify it, and I'll clarify it right now. We're comparing the rates of SA in an age gap relationship versus the rates of SA if you're inside of the U.S. military as a female. We're comparing those two. Those are analogous, right? So now we have, yes, because they apply to your power imbalance. Your whole argument is about a power imbalance.
First of all, I don't have an argument.
So if you're a woman who can sign on to a power imbalance in the military, and you're actually more likely to be SA'd going into the military than you are to be in an age gap relationship, which is true, then I don't understand the argument of the power imbalance. That's what I don't get.
So, okay, first of all, I don't have an argument. This was just my opinion, just to be clear.
Okay.
I'm going to go back to that. The question was, do I agree or disagree with it? I don't agree with it. I don't need to prove my point to you, and I would really love to move on.
Well, I have a couple questions. So I guess perhaps what Andrew's trying to get at. So your issue with age gap relationship is the potential for harm. Is that one of the issues? Right? There's a potential for harm to the woman.
To me, like, I think there's a lot of successful relationships with that big of an age gap. So it's not that. It's not. I'm not like looking
Well, then
out.
why else would you? I mean, if there's no potential for harm,
You okay? Yeah, I'm good. Thank you.
why else, I guess, object to it if there's no potential for harm? Your grievance with it seems to be the potential for harm to the woman.
No, I just think that I'm more focused on the older person's reasoning for why they're seeking someone so significantly
so make
much
an
younger.
argument for why a man who's 40 ought to date a 30-year-old compared to a 20-year-old. Like, what's in it for him?
They're much closer in age. Like, so 10 years is appropriate to me. I would say that's like the max.
No. Make a compelling argument in terms of the benefits then to the man. If your issue isn't so much the harm to the woman, make an argument as to why men ought to date a 35-year-old over a 25-year-old.
Okay. So one, the woman, like if the end goal is that they're looking for successful long-term marriage, relationship, family, kids, whatever, you would prefer to date a 35-year-old over a 25-year-old because the 35-year-old has a lot more life experience. They're
More bodies.
That's not what I mean at all.
But well, when you say more life experience, more trauma, more
No,
baggage,
that's not what I mean at all.
more sexual partners.
No. Now you're adding in things I didn't say, Brian.
Life experience.
No,
you
that's
mean
not what I
relation.
said.
You mean
That's not what I said.
right? But I mean,
No, you're adding in things I did not say.
right? But so okay. Go ahead. Continue with your point.
Yeah. So I'm talking about life experience as in contrast, is in what they want and what they don't want. And I'm talking about jobs, career, where they want to live.
Okay, career.
Who they want to
Yeah.
hang out with, who they want to associate with, their ideology, their religion,
Okay.
whether they're spiritual or not. Like there's a lot of contrasting
Yeah.
moments. And which, by the way, I'm not at all talking about anything to do with relationships. I'm specifically talking about maturity in life. Maybe they've gone to college. Like, there's a lot of different things that will help shape the woman and the person that they're going to become.
Okay, so there's a couple things here. So you mentioned life experience. Do you think a woman's life experience is high on the totem pole in terms of what men find attractive or care about?
To be honest, high quality men would care about that.
About your life experience?
Yeah, high quality men would care about that.
So does that include both positive life experiences and negative life experiences?
For some people, I think conversations that I've had with extremely high quality men, I think they would care if you've had some contrast in your life so you can learn and grow and yeah.
And how did you come to the conclusion that high quality men care about females' life experiences? Like how did you come to that conclusion? They told you?
I've had a lot of extremely intelligent conversations with a lot of extremely intelligent men, very high-level men, and they absolutely, if they're appropriate and they have good intent to be married, to have a wife, to have a family, to have children, etc., those are the things they care about.
A woman's life experiences is high on the totem pole.
I can tell, based on your line of questioning, that you're trying to, make a point, so just make the point.
No, but I mean, again, I'm asking you, do you think that a woman's life experiences are high on the totem pole in terms of what men find attractive or what they value in a partner?
So besides physical attraction, which I think is the baseline, I think physical attraction is absolutely the baseline, right?
Okay, is a 25-year-old woman more physically attractive at 25 or at 35?
Sometimes 25, sometimes not. If they've had some work done, they're probably a little bit better.
Do you think you're 34, correct?
I'm 34.
Do you think you're more physically attractive now at 34 than you were at 24?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Really?
We had this conversation before. You haven't seen me at 24. You don't know what I look like at 24.
Well, I just know, sort of about aging.
Sure, but
the impact it has on your skin.
Yeah, well, I mean, your question was not about me, my physical body, but go ahead.
Just one quick point of clarification. I was kind of going through. I always take notes when people are speaking, right? Because I have a bad memory. But you did say that you didn't have any problem if they hooked up. You only had a problem if they were in a long-term relationship. Yeah, that was really weird. I don't understand that either.
Yes,
sure.
I was going to bring that up.
I'm happy to walk through this. And again, guys, this is just my personal opinion. I find it a little icky when there's an older man dating a super young woman. It seems a little weird to me.
It gives you the ick?
It does, yes. It gives me the ick.
It says give you the ick.
It gives me the ick, Andrew.
It gives you the ick.
It does. It gives me the ick. This is just my personal opinion. Like I said,
So it's fine if they have casual sex and never talk again.
Listen,
That's
said
not
my
good.
personal opinion. This is just my personal opinion. If they're just hooking up, that's their right as consenting adults. Where I get concerned is when the older man is trying to look at this person as their wife, and this poor girl who's 21 years old has not even experienced any life in any way, shape, or form. That's just not going to work out well. That's just my opinion.
Wait, hold on. So just to be clear,
guys, I really
hold
want to move
on. You said the thing, so I got to respond.
Sure.
So okay, just to be clear, less predatory, less bad if the guy fucks her and never talks to her again versus
I didn't say that.
You said if they're just hooking up and that's it.
I didn't.
But when the guy wants something a bit more serious, that's where you have a bit more of an issue.
I think that them trying to date long term and like her become a wife at 21 years old to somebody who is double or triple her age is creepy.
Good catch, unconventional man.
I
He
think
was
it's
the one
creepy.
who caught that. He said,
No,
"Hey,
I heard it.
Did you notice that?" And I was like, "Man, that's a great catch."
So,
I couldn't believe it.
You're fine with
How
short
is
term.
it-
Guys,
how
this is
is
my
it that
personal
you could
opinion. I
possibly
don't need to
reconcile
convince
this
you guys.
position?
I don't need to convince you guys. This is just my personal opinion. I think it's icky. I don't even. I'm not even mad at her. I'm just like, dude, what are you doing? Go in your own age range. Get a little closer. What are you doing? It gives me the ick.
Okay, but so going back to the question at hand, so you said that you're kind of fine with it if it's just casual. with the age gap. So if it's short term,
It's
you're
their
fine.
business. They're consenting adults. I just find it creepy when now you're like at a restaurant and you look next to you and this guy's gray haired and like could be her grandfather and she looks like she just got out of high school. That's weird. I
Okay.
find it really inappropriate.
But so just, I'll ask the question again.
Yeah.
You're okay if they hook up 1, 2, or 3 times, and then that's the extent of it, but you're not okay if the man is
I'm
desirous
not
of a
okay
long-term.
with that at all on a personal level,
But
but,
you-
it's
that's what
but
you
I'm
s-
saying it's their business. I'm saying it's their business. I don't need you to
So
understand this.
isn't
I
it
don't
also
need-
their business
I'm not
if
trying
it's
to
a long
convince
term?
you. I'm not trying to convince you.
That's cool.
I'm just ready to.
But I'm asking for clarification.
Sure.
Yeah, okay. So you're fine with it or more fine with it if it's short term, but if the guy's desirous of long term, that's your
I'm
you
saying
have
it's
more
none
of
of
an
my
issue.
business, but you know, like if they're having
So wouldn't
sex,
it be
they're
none of your
consenting.
business? Wouldn't that be none of your business if it's a long term?
You asked me my opinion on seeing the news of Toby Maguire dating someone double his age. I said I don't like it.
Right, but you made a statement. I'll repeat myself one more time.
Sure.
You made a statement where you said you don't really care or you don't mind if it's just kind of casual, they're just hooking up. Do you recall saying that?
I do, and I did.
So then that would seem to imply that you do have an issue then if it's more long term, if the older man's desirous of having a long term relationship
Yeah.
with her. Whereas if he's just like, sees her at the club, wants to
Yeah.
fuck, then that's that's cool.
And she's a consenting adult, etc. But where it gets weird for me is like, and this is for all young men and women, they're gonna go through a few bodies as they're exploring. A lot of people in general, right? Not everyone. Some people don't, but like I think that's
More
normal.
baggage.
That's normal. That's normal. It happens for guys
More
and
baggage.
girls.
So then Brian's
Sure.
right. It's more life experience means more body count.
But if you're asking me specifically in that scenario, but I'm just saying I don't think that guy should be like getting married to someone who's triple younger
what if they
than
date
him.
for 5 years and now she's 20, now she's 25?
Yeah,
Too young for Leo.
I'm just done, Brian. I'm done with this topic.
Too old.
You
Sorry,
asked me my
too
opinion.
old.
I don't like it.
My
I don't
bad.
need you. I don't need you.
Yeah, but you said another thing, and now I'm trying to
Okay.
get to the bottom
Brian,
of the thing that you
I
said.
literally, you asked me my opinion. I
Yes,
gave you
but I'm
my
asking-
opinion. I don't
Yeah,
like
you
it.
gave it.
Well,
I
but
don't
now
need
I'm
you
asking
to,
for clarification.
But I don't need you to prove me right or wrong.
I'm
That's
not
just
trying
my
to prove
opinion.
you right or wrong. I'm asking. You can't even answer the question.
Well,
I'm answering the question.
I understand you're trying to give your opinion. You keep saying I'm giving my opinion, but opinions are based on some sort of logical reasoning. Now, all Brian and Andrew are trying to do is try to
I know
figure
exactly
out
what they're
is
trying
that,
to do. They're
what is that
looking for
logical
engagement.
reasoning behind it. Because if there is no logical reasoning behind it, maybe your
Well,
opinion
yeah, I'm
should
going to engage in
change.
your opinion. Yeah, that's true. I'm going to engage in your opinion. That's correct. Yes,
Andrew,
you're right.
I don't like it. I don't like it.
You don't like it
need
when I
you to
engage
like
with
it.
your opinion?
No, I'm talking about the dynamic. I just don't like it.
Maybe okay, that's
You
fair.
need-
Guys,
No, maybe
move
the age gap
on.
thing.
So-
Move on.
Well,
If
hold
it's
on,
your-
hold on, no,
if
no,
you-
wait, hold on. Just to be clear, if I want to talk about this for the next 5 hours, we're going
I-
to talk about it for the
yeah.
next 5 hours.
It
can
is
talk about it. I don't
Brian's
have to.
show.
Now, I'm not inclined to talk about it for the
Yeah.
next 5 hours, but if you wanted to move on, instead of kind of attempting to obfuscate and derail, you could just
There
like...
was no derailing or obfuscating. I'm just saying I'm
yeah,
done
you could
talking
just like
about
answer
it.
the question.
But I did.
No, you just kind of say, I already answered the question, now move on.
Okay,
the
Brian,
question
you've
was,
been in a bad mood
the
since
question,
everybody
cool,
showed
Yes, I
up.
have been in a bad
Yep,
mood.
and you're
Deal
taking
with
it out on me right
I'm
now.
not taking it out on you.
You are.
I would engage with you just like this, regardless. If I had the most smooth pre-show, I would have engaged with you just like this, regardless. So it has
No,
nothing
you'd
to
be
do
a
with
little
the
bit
fact.
nicer.
No, I can attest. Brian
I
do
would
the
engage
exact
with
same
you.
thing.
This is not
I
my
would
first time
engage with
here.
you.
This is my
exactly the
ninth
same.
time here.
Yeah,
I'll ask
cool.
one final question, and then I will move it on. So just as a point of clarification, can you answer? You said you don't object if it's older man, younger woman, and they're just hooking up.
It's their business.
But you do object, older man, younger woman, serious long-term monogamous relationship.
I would look at that older man and I would wonder what is going on with his mental health that he needs to date someone who is young enough
So
to
he's
be his
mentally
daughter.
now older men
Sure,
are mentally ill for
sure,
being attracted to
sure.
young adult women.
Yeah, that's
They're
creepy.
It's
creepy.
No, it's a mental illness.
I think so.
You think it's a mental illness for men to be
Maybe.
attracted to like a stacked 21-year-old, like giant
Just-
fucking
well, just-
titties,
just
big
not-
fucking
well,
ass?
well,
I don't need you to
you think
agree
it's
with
a
me.
mental illness?
No, Brian, stop.
I just
It's
don't need to
only
get-
a mental illness if they want to date them. It's fine to fuck them.
No, I'm telling you, I don't care. It's just my opinion. It's my opinion.
All right, hang on. Let's lighten the mood. We'll lighten the mood, all right? Like, here's me throwing you a bone. You want to sing the I Just Got the Ick song? I just got
Please.
the ick. Come on,
It's
you
the
can say it
ick.
with
It
me.
is the ick. It's so gross.
It got the ick?
It's so gross. What are you doing
It's
dating
so
your
gross.
grandfather?
I know, it's so gross of that chick to do that.
So
What a
just to be
gross
clear,
chick.
your position is men are mentally ill for desiring young adult women. So like 21-year-old women, it's mental illness.
It's like, yeah, why would you want to date your daughter?
What?
Well, he's
Can
not
I-
dating his daughter.
You
He's
what-
dating.
what you
He's
got?
dating.
Not dating.
Can I
Okay,
ask-
okay.
Wait.
There-
I can get. Hold on. Go ahead.
I just want to clarify your position. You originally said mental health, right? You were like, it raises mental health concerns.
Yeah.
I agree with that. And you're using the term mental health illness. Those are two very different things.
What?
You can
No, they're the same.
have
They're the
mental
same,
health
girl.
symptoms.
They're the same.
Okay, so
Like-
articulate what she's trying to say when she says it's a mental health thing. Yo, Payo, thank you for the raid, man. Appreciate it. Thank you, Payo. Okay, so what mental health concern is there
Well,
for
I'm
a man
just-
to be attracted to a 21-year-old adult woman? What is
This
the
isn't
mental
my
health?
point. I was just asking a clarifying question. That's all I was doing.
So you're trying to differentiate between mental
Well,
health and mental illness?
I was wondering if you were using the same terminology for mental health and mental illness. It's okay if you
I'm
are.
pretty
Okay,
sure
so
they're
it was
interchangeable.
it was like first of all, it was an off the cuff comment, so it's not that serious. Number one, but
No, I agree.
number two, I said I would be concerned about their mental health. Why are they dating someone? And hear me out for a second before you jump in. There's a lot of men out there who are dating women, sometimes younger or the same
Yep,
age
not
as their
talking about that.
daughters.
Oh, okay.
And because that's where the daughter comment came in, because you said, well, it's not his daughter, that are about the same age. Why would you want to date someone? Look, first of all, I have a 15-year-old son. I would never, 5 years from now, when he's 20, I would
Hold
never
on.
date a 20-year-old.
Okay, I actually have a rebuttal to this.
Okay.
So you're saying that any characteristic which a child possesses, you must not then date a person who possesses the characteristic of your child.
No,
so for
I didn't
example,
say that.
if the skin color of your child is white, how dare you date somebody
didn't say
who's
that.
the same skin color
Brian, I didn't
as
say
your
that.
child? Right, but that's the logical.
I didn't say that.
Yes, I know that's not what you said. But do you understand how I'm trying to like make a comparison here? You're saying that if there's a trait that your child possesses, it then becomes weird and creepy
I do
if
think
you
it's weird
date
and
somebody
creepy.
who possesses
Yeah.
the same trait. So, for example,
No.
if your child has blue eyes, you are then a predator for
Nope,
dating
I didn't
somebody
say that.
who has blue. That's your argument,
No, it's
though.
not. No, it's not.
Dude, do you really think that's what I'm saying? Do you genuinely think that I'm saying that that's what you said?
You literally just said that in your logic, any type of characteristic that that person possesses
Okay,
would
but
then be off
are you
the
saying
list.
that I said? Are you saying that I said that you said it verbatim?
I'm because you're
Of
saying,
course, I know you didn't say what I just said.
but you're basically elaborating on something and taking it down a road that wasn't
okay,
even a
so
thought
then,
in my
but
mind.
I don't understand this comparison.
He's drawing a parallel comparison, like they're comparable.
Or we could just stay on what I actually said. So, like, I look at you being 21 years old as, oh my God, let me take you under my wing. Let me help you out. Let me
So
let me take care of
infantilizing.
you.
But why does she need that?
No, it's. I think I do
Creepy.
agree. Okay, I
That's
will
what you
say,
do to a generation below
okay,
you.
okay.
I will
I have a
say
question. I have a
speaking
question.
as a-
Do you think a 30-year-old man is mentally ill if they found her physically attractive?
There's a less than 10 year age
That's a
difference.
weird question.
Less than 10
Do you
years.
think they're mentally ill if they found her physically attractive?
There's a less than 10 years age
Okay,
difference.
35.
I would be concerned. Like, dude, what are you doing with a 21-year-old? Yeah.
I want to go back to your comment about young people
So-
being sponges. I do
Okay.
agree with that. Your prefrontal cortex doesn't start
Fake news.
developing until you're 25.
Okay, so should
No, it's peer
so
reviewed.
then
There's
people
multiple studies.
Yeah, it's been debunked. So should people be voting then?
Nope.
Should you be able to vote at
Should we
that
have a
age?
vote?
No.
Hold on. Go ahead. Should you be able to vote?
I think that given our current political system and how one vote, I think that's a hard one. I think that.
Hold on. Okay, so let me ask you a question. Okay, so with your vote, you could elect a representative, a president, congressman, represent whatever it is, who could send us to war, which could lead to a nuclear holocaust. Do you think that that's a bigger issue than being able to have a romantic sexual relationship with a man who's 20 years older than you?
I think that's a very interesting comparison to draw between those two
hold on,
nations.
but with your
completely
vote,
separate.
I
with
don't
your
know
vote,
how the
you
conversation's
can
gotten here.
Yeah.
okay, with your vote, you can empower a representative who could send us to war, that could result in conceivably some sort of catastrophic scenario where there's nuclear war.
You think my vote individually would have that much of an impact? One individual
Yes.
vote?
Yes, it
The
does.
elections sometimes
100%.
can come down to just 2,000 or 3,000 votes. Sometimes they can come down to just 20,000 votes. Yes, definitely your vote matters a great deal. So what Brian's ultimate point here is if your prefrontal cortex is not developed until you're 25 and you can't make rational decisions on who you will end up with, only a person with a prefrontal cortex which is fully developed can, then why would we give you the rights to drive, vote, participate in signing contracts like the military, things like that? You're basically saying that you don't have the cognitive ability to make the decision to date older men, but you have the cognitive ability to run the nation, and it's just in that. And that's where the comparison is, where you're like, what?
Yeah, well, it's not even make the cognitive decision to date older men. It's making the cognitive decision to make any wise dating decisions whatsoever.
Decision period.
So should people before the age of 25 be dating at all?
But we're
With
so
that logic,
far
no,
from the
because they
actual
can't make
question.
logical decisions until they turn 25.
We're so far from the actual question. You asked me my opinion on what I thought about 21-year-old, but now we're down like voting, the
Well, no,
military.
no.
Like,
We're
can we just
making
stick to the
parallel
point?
comparisons.
The topic shifted. Hang on, the topic shifted off of you because she brought up the prefrontal cortex argument. This is a very common feminist argument. Happens often. And I'm fine with the argument. I just am only fine with it if we can agree on the entailments of what that means. It's like, if you're saying that a woman's prefrontal cortex is not fully developed till 25, and because of that, she's not making good rational decisions about who she can or can't date, then why would we let her make rational decisions about other things which have impacts? That's the point.
She probably doesn't, like, young people
She
don't
has a
even
voice.
understand what
She
it
has a
means.
voice. She has a voice. She can speak. I
I'm
promise.
not talking about her.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about her.
No,
I'm talking about
Yeah.
the woman, the girl in this scenario. I'm not talking about her.
I'll let you finish.
No, you go ahead. You're good.
It's okay.
I
No.
wasn't even talking about you.
No, you're all good. I knew
No.
you weren't. You're all good. I think that is an interesting question to pose. I think that it also does come to the fact that I pay taxes currently.
Do you?
Yes, I do. I pay taxes. I work. I have had multiple jobs. I pay taxes. And I do think that under a democracy, I do think that my vote, I do think I kind of, even if my prefrontal cortex hasn't developed fully,
Go ahead, Andrew.
15 and 16-year-olds pay taxes.
I'm not 15.
I know, but 15 and 16-year-olds pay taxes, so that would mean that by the entailment of that, 15 and
I think we
16-year-olds
should
should be
just
able
go
to
back
vote.
to the question,
Right?
the original question.
What?
I said I really just think we should all just go back to the original question.
Yeah, I know. But why? I'm sorry. I know that the attention's not 100% focused on you right this second, but we're having a conversation with somebody else because I'm curious about the worldview here as well. If you say, I pay taxes, so I should be able to vote. Okay, that makes sense. But then that would apply to all taxpayers, which would include 14, 15, 16-year-olds who have part-time jobs. They pay taxes. Should they be able to vote?
No.
There's a question for you.
I know, I'm taking a moment to think.
Sure. Yeah, no problem.
I personally don't think that I would be able to give an answer on that right now. I don't know. I think that I'd have to think about it longer. And I think that we should move on to the next
for you.
person and keep discussing. I was simply just trying to add on that I agreed with one of your earlier points, and I respect your opinion. I was only trying to do that, and that has led us down a million gajillion rabbit holes, and I think that we should continue moving around.
Do you want? Are you just conceding the point then?
Well, there's no point to concede to. You asked me my opinion. I gave you my opinion. And you guys, like vultures, are like, hold on, let's talk about the military and voting and all these other things. I just said it gave me the ick. I don't like it. And I don't need you to agree or disagree.
Well, I think
What
the
do
whole.
you mean? What do you mean, like vultures?
Andrew,
just been asking
you and I
questions
have done
one
this
at a time.
before. You and I have done this before.
Oh, you mean when I was in a room where I was outnumbered 9-1?
You're not
Oh,
outnumbered
did I
ever.
traumatize you in a room where I was outnumbered
You never
9-1?
traumatized me.
Really? Are you serious?
Andrew,
You're not
you
outnumbered.
don't, you're not outnumbered.
Did that mean you outnumbered 9-1 and I was the vulture? Like what?
No, I didn't say that. And you weren't outnumbered at all. There was like 5 guys on that show.
No, there wasn't.
Yeah, there
there was
was.
the host, and the host stayed silent for the entirety of the show except Sartain, who moved it
There was
on.
5
And it
guys
was
on that
me and
show.
one other guest. It was me and one other guest.
No, there was Michael. I forget
Yeah, the
other guy's
hosts.
name.
Those are the hosts.
Yeah,
They didn't say
there's 5
shit the
guys.
whole show. They didn't say anything the whole show.
That doesn't mean they
It
weren't
was-
there.
It was all women versus 2 guys, and the other guy barely said anything. So I don't know if you how we were the vultures, but okay.
All right. Well, I do want to get the other panelists in on this. So back to the original thing. Toby Maguire, your thoughts
Thank you.
on...
Now I'm trying to reel it all out.
You had a lot of time to think about it.
Yeah, I know, it's a lot at once.
Okay, he's 49, she's 20. Your thoughts?
I believe it's anybody's opinion against their own because I have been and I have known people in age gap relationships or casualties to where I'm like, I know one couple that is still together to this day. I believe she's 18 and he's 40. And they've been together for, I think it's 20. I might have the age difference.
They
up.
met
But they met
when she was 18
Yes.
and he was 40. Okay. She's about to say they're together for 5
That was highly.
I think we can all agree we object to that.
It's a consensual relationship. I have been to their place to where I'm like they pretty much act like an old married couple.
So when they met, she was 18 and he was 40.
Yes.
Okay. But in terms of...
Reality check donated $200. So, Bimbo Lady basically called all men mentally ill. Congratulations. Now all your potential partners are mentally ill. Have fun with that.
It's actually true because most men are attracted to young adult women.
Yeah. Well, what about if it's the opposite? What
So,
happens
just
if
a-
the women go after
That's
the men?
Yeah, that's fine.
Just let me clarify again. First of all, I did not say that if they're attracted to younger women is a problem. I said if they're pursuing someone the same age as their daughter, that's weird. That's weird, and I would
so
be
what
concerned.
if they... Let me ask you a question. Let's say there's a 50-year-old man with a daughter and a 50-year-old man without a daughter. Is there any differentiation there?
No, I feel like that generational.
But they're the same age.
No,
I don't
I think
understand.
like a 20-year gap is so
No, answer the
massive.
question. Answer the question.
Okay, what is your question? What's the actual question?
A 50-year-old man
Yeah.
without a daughter
Yeah.
and a 50-year-old man with a daughter. They're the same age. Do you object to them both?
Yes,
But he doesn't have a daughter.
I'm
So
I'm
it
saying
could
that
be
large
the
of an
daughter's
age gap.
But it could be the daughter's age.
That large of an age gap is gross to me. It's gross. And going back to the mentally ill thing, I don't need you to agree with me. I don't need you to agree with me.
Okay, so it's
I don't
mental.
need you to
It's a
agree with
mental
me.
illness, though, for men to be attracted to like a 21-year-old.
Not to be attracted, but why are you
To date. Okay,
why are
fine,
you
to date.
dating her? Why are you dating her? Yeah, I absolutely think
My
that's I
last,
think
my
it's weird.
last follow-up that I
think
have
it's
on
weird.
this, and then I agree, we've kind of beaten the dead horse,
Yeah,
right?
I think it's
But
weird.
My last follow-up, would you ever accept from me the argument that I do not condone LGBTQ because I find it to be gross? Would you ever say that that's okay?
That's your opinion. That's your opinion. So like if you
Yeah, you wouldn't question my opinion, though. If I wanted to vote to legislate it or things like that, then would you oppose it?
It's not
then
my
would I have to
it's
have
your vote.
justifications for it?
It's your vote. You can do whatever you want with your vote.
So you wouldn't even
Your-
question it. You would
the
just say, no
question
problem,
is
it's
if
just
I
your
have
opinion.
a problem with it or not. I have a problem with it.
So
I think
what
it's
if
weird.
somebody said that they didn't like other races because they find it icky? Would you say anything about their opinion then?
Again, I'm talking about my opinion here. I'm talking about my opinion.
So you have no opinions about anybody else's opinions, even if you disagree with them?
I didn't say I had an issue with them being attracted to younger women. I said I have an issue with them pursuing the younger women.
You don't really
Yeah, I
answer
know, because it
questions.
gives you the ick.
Okay.
But if the argument is just it's
Ask
the
your
ick,
question, Brian, because I just did.
but if the argument is just it gives you the ick, then I don't. Couldn't I use that argument for basically any form of discrimination I could ever think of?
Sure.
And would you have anything to say about that, or would you just be like, "Oh, that's fine, it's your opinion"?
Well, I didn't come to argue, first and foremost. I didn't come to argue. or debate.
You didn't come on to
I just
an
came to talk
adversarial
about
dating show to argue?
topics. I did not come to argue, so that's why I'm saying we should.
Well, did you just come to monologue?
I came to have a conversation, not to argue.
That's what we're doing.
No, we're
that
not.
conversation's become
No, we're not.
adversarial.
No, we're not. When you guys are laughing, rolling your eyes, like making statements and comments that basically try to invalidate
What are you guys doing?
my opinion and things like that.
Wait, hang on. Yes, it's okay for me to make arguments that invalidate your opinion if I disagree with it, one. And two, you think that we have a monopoly on eye rolling in this conversation? Really?
If you're having just like a regular conversation, there's a respect level where you're exchanging ideas, but that's not what's happening here.
What is happening here?
It's like 3-4 people at a time jumping in to like basically invalidate that person's opinion.
Yeah, what if their opinion's wrong and you wanted to invalidate? Like, for instance, if you were a racist who just said, I don't like X race because I find it icky, what would be wrong with 4 of us jumping in and going back and forth with that person one at a time in order to invalidate a bad opinion?
They're 2 completely different topics.
No,
Like-
the logic is exactly the same. If somebody
the
thinks
same.
the justification
It's not
of
the
ick,
same.
They're different
do you know what
topics, but the logic is the
justification
same.
of ick is ick.
Yeah.
That's it.
Anyways, did you give an answer?
Yes.
Did we get an answer?
Yes.
What was it?
I think it's to each their own as long as they're consenting adults.
Okay, so no issues with Toby Maguire, 49, dating 20-year-old Lily.
No.
Okay, your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't think that's weird or anything like that. I mean,
Okay, you're fine with it.
I don't care. They're adults. They want to do
Wait,
it.
can you just scoot your mic to the edge of the
Sorry.
table?
They're adults. They can do what they want to do. She's 21. Apparently, it's adult.
You should probably scoot your chair in, so.
No problem with it.
I could not care less. Women tend to mature quicker than men anyways. I would not date anybody my age.
Did you guys just show of hands? Just show of,
What about their Abdullah oblongata? I mean, their prefrontal cortex, though. Did you ever think about that? What about their prefrontal cortex? Never even thought about that, did you? You just thought, well, they mature faster.
See,
so
that's
it's fine.
not having a conversation, Brian. That's where now you're
That
being
was
a
me
dick to
making
her.
a joke, and you see
It's
how she
not a
laughed. I know
joke.
that you're allergic to laughter
It's not a
and having
joke.
any sort of a good time, but you know it was clearly a joke.
That's where you're like being
joking.
disrespectful.
That was the opposite of disrespect. I was making fun of you by laughing with her.
I didn't say
That's
anything
not
about the
disrespectful.
prefrontal, but yeah.
okay. Did you have any further thoughts on the Toby Maguire?
I think there are other reasons besides mental illness that a man would be interested in dating someone who's younger. My roommate and I discuss this topic regularly, where we don't want to date someone who's over the age of like 30, 31, 32, because one, they all have all of this extra life baggage. Like, why have you matured now? What took you so long in your life to be like, okay, now I'm going to start considering marriage specifically? 2, I'm wondering, am I going to be able to actually have a family with you? I know women have a clock and it's ticking. I want to have a bunch of kids. I want to have a large family. That's really important to me. I don't want to spend the first 5 to 10 years of my marriage deprogramming all of that emotional baggage, all of that trauma, all of that, whatever word you want to use, whatever buzzword. I don't want to have to spend all that time doing that at the same time as trying to raise a family, maybe having your emotional trauma baggage poured into the kids, into those impressionable minds. I don't have to deal with that. So I understand why a man, any age, whether that's 49, whether that's 20, would want to date a woman who's a little younger. It makes sense. And there are other reasons besides mental illness that they would want to do so.
Okay.
Do you want to walk back the mental illness thing, or you're pretty confident on
I
that?
said that I'd be wondering what's going on with them mentally, that they would be attracted to someone 20 years their junior. So no, I'm not walking
so it is
back.
attracted. Because before you said
to
dated.
date, to like to be with.
But you just said
today. Sure.
if they're attracted.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
just
like,
by virtue of being attracted to a 21-year-old woman,
listen,
mental
I'll
illness.
go in a little bit further here, okay? When I have conversations with people that are 20 years younger than me, or let's say, just to keep it like at 20, right? Sorry, what?
Nothing.
I'm looking at them as like, they're immature, they're not experienced in any way, shape, or form. They're vulnerable, they're impressionable, right? Their eyes wide open, deer in the headlight, right? To me, if a man is 20 years older, and by the way, somebody said in here that chat right there, like 30 is appropriate, but I'm talking about early 20s. They're barely out of high school, and if you're going to consider like one, being with them, having a relationship with them, settling down with them, etc., like you're preying on them. It's like they're not even on the same level as you. Like, what do you have in common with someone 20 years your junior? They probably can't even name a pop artist from your
Really? You
generation.
think, there's a whole lot there. You said prey. You mentioned the commonality thing.
Yeah.
Okay, what in general do men and women have in common to begin with? That would be sufficient enough to, just on the basis of having a commonality, would be like, I'm wanting to date this person just on the basis of us having shit in common. Said no one ever.
That's not true, Brian.
Said
That's
no one
literally
ever.
not true.
Bro,
Literally,
have you
that's
ever
literally
known a
not
guy?
true.
Have you ever known a guy who you had the most in common with, but you didn't end up dating them?
Yes.
I mean, I have friends that I have a lot in common with
But
that we
you're
didn't date
not-
because there's chemistry and
Right,
sexual attraction
so
that would be
it's
needed
clear,
as well.
but would you agree it's clear then that having commonalities is not high in the totem pole of
No, I disagree.
what matters?
I disagree.
Well,
I disagree.
You mentioned pop artists. I don't give a fuck what kind of music a girl listens to. And if she's dating me long enough, she's gonna like my shit.
That's so weird that you would like suggest that she would have to like your shit. Like, maybe
That's
she likes
not
her
what
own
I
stuff.
said.
But she will.
That's not what I said.
Yeah, I
She'll like it
just
eventually.
disagree.
She'll
I just
like
think
it.
a 20-year age gap. I just think a 20-year age gap is wild.
Right, but you said
like,
pop
why?
artists.
I brought it up as like an example.
Okay,
Like
fine.
it's just a random example.
So then cultural touchstones. Oh, we watch the same shows. We both listen to the same music.
Like the same.
I don't
Yeah,
care.
I think having things
Don't
in common.
care.
Well, if all you care about is your sexual attraction,
No,
period, and that's where you
no,
end
that's
it.
not even
Okay, I
it.
just want to
Goes
clarify.
into-
I just want to clarify.
But just
because we're
to
talking about things you have
clarify,
in common.
I think liking the same music is far more superficial than what you're trying to suggest here by there's the sexual component. Who your favorite pop artist is, same music.
It's just one example of having something in common
Okay,
with
what are some
someone.
things in common that would warrant me to date somebody?
I think you should have a lot of things in common. I think you should enjoy doing the same things, going to the same places, hanging out with the same people.
Okay, I don't
that's
like
not-
the
I would
That's
say
not
the
age
only thing
restrictive,
really
though.
is like morals and maybe.
Right, but you
Okay,
can,
but
but
you
you
maybe.
but you
But
can
then-
all of those-
if you're,
Well,
wait,
no.
if you-
I'm not disagreeing or agreeing with either, but I'm saying as far as agreements, the only thing I could see that would make sense to me personally would be maybe morals, religious. If you're a religious person, maybe
right, but you
religion
could be,
based.
you could, but there's nothing. Having good morals and having
Well, no.
hold on, let me finish.
Exactly.
Hold on, let me finish. Having good morals and having a religious worldview. You could be 21
No, 100%.
and be involved
100%.
in your faith.
No.
You could be 45 and be an atheist.
100%. I'm just saying that's the only thing as far as
You're
if
not-
you
you're
want.
not speaking into the
I'm just
mic.
saying as far as being agreeable or having things in common. That's the only thing I could see as far as being justifiable of wanting to have those things agreeable, being in the same things in alignment as far as morals and
Right, but you can have-
religion.
okay, you
but
can
I'm not
have
saying
that.
you have to be
Yep,
the same
you
age.
can have that in any
no,
age.
yeah, I'm not saying
So,
that it
again,
has to be an age
Make an
thing.
argument for the commonality component here.
But don't you want to date people that they're going to teach you something?
No.
Men don't. I mean,
I
not
don't wanna
teach.
be
no,
taught.
Not teach you something, but like, not teach
Teach
you
me
something.
what?
Not
What
teach you
teach
something.
me?
I guess that was the
That's
right
weird.
word. That wasn't
Teach
the
me
right
what?
word. That
Okay,
wasn't
fine.
the right
Okay,
word.
go ahead.
So
Fine.
like, you like that kind of music because that's what she brought up. You like that kind of music. I like this kind. I've never heard that. Sure, let me hear it. You want to do that? Sure. It's a commonality. It doesn't have to be.
I don't think
Yes.
it's a commonality though. I think
Where
it's
did
more
the-
of just being in agreement with sharing.
Why do opposites attract though? Why is that a thing? Like there's some people have something and then the other person completes that, and that turns into a match.
Wait, so just to be clear, so commonality, that's super important.
I think it's important.
Having things in common.
I think so.
I don't think it's
Really?
important.
Okay.
No, I don't think
You
it's
think
important.
you think for either men or women, people are looking at like, oh, we have so much in common. If that were the case, you would be. If commonality was really up there, wouldn't people sort for that?
So, first of all, when you ask me these questions, like the whole like smug, like I know better, I know that, like I already disagree with you, but you're asking
you
just
said
to make
pop
a.
star.
Okay,
And that
Hold
is
on.
How many
Okay.
men want to go to a Taylor
Wait,
Swift
hold on. I'm
concert?
gonna finish something.
Nobody.
I'm gonna finish finish something
not
really
even
quick.
me, but I'm saying
Having a conversation, if that's what we're doing, we're having a conversation. Let's have a conversation to be open to other people's ideas and opinions and views and walks of life.
I'm firm
but
in my
that's not what you're
beliefs,
doing.
so-
Well, so am I. And
Well,
so
okay.
I'm open.
What
I'm actually
we-
open to having my mind changed.
we can have a volley of conversation, but like where I have an issue with these types of conversations is when you already are getting ready to make a point to like flip.
I'm already ready.
Exactly.
ready.
But it's like you're not even like open for the conversation.
Well,
So
hold on.
why are you asking
That's a
your
fair
question?
Listen, I
Also-
think that's a fair criticism.
If
So
you're-
I'll tell you, I'm totally open to having my mind changed. In fact, I hate cognitive dissonance. That's a thing that I despise. I've tried to get rid of as much cognitive dissonance in myself as I possibly can. Totally open to having my mind changed. That's why I love having combos like this.
Yeah,
absolutely. But
when
the
we're
thing
having
is
them.
are you willing to have your mind changed?
I would be open to it for sure, but where I'm specifically
Well,
referencing.
how can we do that if we don't? Hang on, I'm almost done. I just wanted a quick yes or no to
Okay.
that, and the reason here's why. If you're open to having your mind changed, and we're having this conversation, how in the world could I change your mind without showing you if we apply this kind of thinking or the rigidity in thinking of I got the ick, and then take it to its logical conclusion, and you see that the position itself is absurd? How else can I get you to change your mind? Can you actually explain that to me?
Sure.
I actually do want to know the answer to that.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think it's really difficult for you to completely change the topic in the sake of parallel ideas. You should just stay on the actual topic and maybe ask onion layer peeling questions about how did I get to that logic. So then you would understand where I'm coming from, and you could even have an intelligent conversation in where maybe there's holes in my logic on that topic.
Great. Then let's start with how
hold
did you
on.
come to the position that a age gap relationship is icky?
I'm going to
How
answer
is
that
it-
in
how
1
did you
second.
come to this?
I will answer that in 1 second, but I want to finish what I was saying to Brian. Like, see, like rolling your eyes, shaking your head.
Because it's a meta conversation.
No, it's not meta. It's
literally
just
no.
you being a
Do you know what a
jerk.
meta conversation
I
is?
sure do.
What is it?
A meta conversation was where you're just ice layering on top of each other, where you're not actually addressing the topic.
That's not a meta
or
conversation.
The whataboutism.
That's
Meta
not a meta-
conversation is a conversation about the conversation.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I meant by the layering. You're talking about the same thing. So what I want to like, I think it's really important to address. We all drove here and came here for your show, right?
Okay, meta conversation.
No.
You're
This
literally
isn't-
having a meta conversation.
That's fine. That's fine.
Yeah.
But if we're gonna
Okay.
have a conversation, we can have a conversation. But when you're being disrespectful, that's not a conversation.
Well,
That's
see,
not-
when it comes to
I
the
feel
eye rolling,
disrespected.
see, perhaps you might view it as disrespectful. But for example, if somebody were to say, Brian, I want to argue with you about the fact that I think that the sky is red.
But I don't want to argue at all. I already said that.
Okay, if somebody says something ridiculous, so ridiculous that it warrants an eye roll, I don't see any actual objection there. If somebody's going to say, Brian, the sky's not blue, I don't even know how to have that conversation. And some of the eye roll comes from you saying, I mean, I actually find it quite almost despicable that you want to paint men. You said men prey, men are predators, men are mentally, you would question their mental health. I mean, that's very objectionable language because you're essentially painting almost most or all men as having a pathology, which I object to and I find ludicrous. And when it comes to this commonality thing, I just find that absurd. I mean, why even engage in it? Because it's just ridiculous if you genuinely think that commonality is high on the totem pole in terms of what people find attractive.
I completely disagree with you. If
You disagree that in terms of my assessment of what you said, you've pathologized all men or most men.
No,
you think
I-
they're predatory. You think
didn't
they're
say that.
You said prey.
I said
Did
if
you
there's
say
a
prey?
20 plus
Did-
year age gap,
did
let's
the
be
words-
clear, the
did
20 plus year
words-
age gap.
Yes, that's the
Those
context of
years.
Yeah.
which I'm addressing this. Did you say the word prey?
When there's a
Did-
20 year age gap, yes.
Okay, so, but you also said it about even men who find them attractive. You did say that too.
Yeah, I think it's weird. Why would you?
Okay, and you
Yeah.
think it's predatory? You think they're
If you
preying?
pursue it, yeah.
You think they're preying, right? So you're pathologizing. So there's the justification for my eye roll. It's just an absurd statement.
Well, that's my opinion.
Well, so
Andrew was
like
trying to get
claiming
into
be
this. Okay, if you're
open-minded, yeah.
okay.
Listen, it's perfectly acceptable to have an opinion, and I do want to hear it. Like, that's why I come on these shows, because I enjoy hearing your opinions.
Yeah.
The reason that I enjoy hearing your opinions is because often, and I've had to change my mind multiple times about different positions that I've had, especially after starting whatever, because I didn't know very much about modern dating. I didn't know very much about how this stuff went at all. And I've been forced to change my opinions many times because I was suffering from cognitive dissonance. There's no doubt about it. There was many things which I had a completely skewed view on that I no longer do after engaging in these panels. So I do want to hear your opinion, but I think you got to listen to ours as well. I think that that's a kind of the fair exchange. So my olive branch here is like, look, we've engaged before, right? And you know that if you give me your opinion, you're genuine. I am going to deconstruct it a bit. But we don't even have to be disrespectful about it. We just go through the opinion and figure this thing out. Right?
Yeah, I agree with everything that you just said when it's done respectfully. But when it's like, it's so clear, like we're not even having a conversation because you're closed off.
Come on, don't tone police. That's just,
it's okay.
It's tone policing.
What's happening right now? What I perceive is happening right now is you're unwilling to engage with the argument because you're feeling offended by the tone. Whereas you could be generous to the other person. Maybe you could even say, Brian's a little immature in his delivery. That's fine. But if you're a mature adult willing to engage with the actual argument that's being posed, I can put away the immaturity. I can put away the disrespect. I've had plenty of people on panels before really disrespect me and how they say things, but I still genuinely engage with the argument that's being presented to me, regardless of how they say it. And I think you should be able to do that as a mature adult. Now, I'm giving this as like a critique to your argumentation style. So instead of attacking somebody because of the way they say
who did I
things,
attack?
Brian.
I attacked him.
Well, you're okay.
I don't
Maybe
think
I
it's
don't want to say the
necessarily
word
an attack.
Okay,
attacking.
it is.
I think women have a hard time sometimes admitting that they're wrong.
Okay, well, see, there it goes again.
Everyone does.
Because I use the word attack, you're unwilling to engage with what I'm saying right now.
Yeah.
So maybe so if I say attack, maybe you can translate that in your mind to say, okay, maybe he's making an argument, or we're having a spirited discussion. Maybe I'm not going to judge him based on the tone or the words he says. Maybe I want to interpret the meaning he's trying to get across with saying what he's saying. It's a really immature way to go about having a discussion with somebody, judging them based upon the verbiage, the language, and the tone of what they're using.
I got this. Okay, duly noted. Anyways, why don't you engage with Andrew? Go ahead.
Okay.
Noted. Duly noted. Go ahead. Have the conversation.
Yeah. So I do genuinely want to know how you came to this opinion.
Well, one, I'm a woman who was once in her early 20s, and I did engage with, when I just want to be clear, I'm not saying sexually, but like I did have conversations. I did have men hitting on me. I did, work in environments, et cetera, where there was a lot of men that were acting predatorily because I was so young, impressionable, and easy to coerce to do different things, go different places, etc.
Yeah, that guy's right.
I've had a lot of negative experiences with men that are much older than me. And if now that I'm older, my number one piece of advice to younger women is try to just keep it around the same age as you. Like, I don't think, 20 years, 30 years older than you is appropriate. That's just my personal opinion from my personal lived experiences.
Andrew, I have something on this.
Okay. Yeah, sure. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, so you mentioned that you dated men who were older and they were bad experiences. Yeah. Don't doubt that at all. But I also hear from women, for example, who date men their own age and have also bad experiences. Mm-hmm. So it's not clear to me that it really matters. If you're trying to avoid bad experiences, I don't see really what age has to do with it. A guy the same age as you can be just as or more abusive and controlling as an older guy.
Sure can. I just, my personal opinion based on my personal lived experiences is that there should be a smaller age gap. I say 10 years is roughly the max.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have a question for you.
When you're guiding women,
do.
because you said this was your number one piece of advice for younger women, and I didn't get that wrong. I'm not strawmanning that,
Nope.
right? You did say that's your number one piece of advice.
Yeah.
Do you usually guide them only via anecdote?
Clarify what you mean.
Like only your personal experience?
I also, I take into account, who that girl is, their experience, like, a lot of different factors. But in general, young women who are in their early 20s, fresh out of high school, maybe newly going into college. When you graduate when you're 18, fresh out of high school is 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That's not that fresh, but okay. Fair enough.
All right. Well,
I
I'm just saying young
understand.
women.
I mean, within 5 years, it's fresh. We'll just say that for the kind of like the sake of however it is that you feel. But do you understand? So when I talk to different men, I don't actually give advice, right? I make sure not to, because if I'm not intricately familiar with a person's personal situation, I feel like I could actually make it worse if I gave them bad advice. So I tend to stay away from advice giving at all. But one thing I do tell people, and this is the one thing I'll tell anybody who listens, is there is a proper way to think. There's a proper way to think, and there's an improper way to think. And so when I listen to you kind of go through this, what I'm looking for is how is she thinking about this? Why is she thinking about it this way? And why is she arriving at that conclusion? Because most people come to improper conclusions because they have not been taught to properly think. So if we start with an anecdote of you have bad experience with X, that really doesn't mean shit ultimately, right? It would actually be improper thinking to say, because I had negative experiences in field X, that therefore other people are going to have negative experiences. You would want to look at kind of the whole in order to make a good conclusion before you were to give somebody advice, right? You would agree with that, wouldn't you?
Same as statistics.
I don't really think it's that deep though, Andrew. I'm just more referring to, when I do have younger women approaching me and talking to me about their male situations, I will go off of what they've shared and I will encourage them to date within their own age range.
Can I ask you a question about that?
But I mean, that has vast implications for a person's life, right? It does. Giving a person advice about who they should or shouldn't date has massive implications for the outcomes of their life.
Well, when I'm asked for my advice, sometimes will give it. Not always,
yeah,
but
sure.
sometimes.
No, and I understand. That's okay.
Yeah.
There's plenty of people who give advice,
Yeah.
when they're asked and this type of thing. I tend not to. But don't you think that if you're a person who does give advice, that you should be coming to proper conclusions before you give it out?
Sure.
Yeah. So
what were you gonna say?
when we're thinking about this, the reason that I'm gauging what you're saying, and the reason I'm diving into what you're saying, and the reason I want to change your mind about what it is that you're saying is because I think you're coming to an improper conclusion based on bad thinking, and I think that I can assist with that. And so that's why I want the opinion and why it is that you think this. And if all you can say is it's justified via ick, there's no way in the world, because you could justify anything with ick, right? You could justify any discriminatory behavior with ick. You can justify hating women with ick. You could justify hating men with ick. You could justify anything with ick. So that would be improper thinking, wouldn't it?
I don't know, Andrew. This is, again, just my opinion. What were you going to say?
My question is, so when I sit there and I look at men my age where I'm from, most of them can't tell their left ass cheek from the right. Okay? So when I sit there and I say I look at men 30 plus years old because they know what they want, they've been through life, they're ready to settle down.
How old are you again?
I'm sorry?
How old are you again?
I'm 26.
You're 26. Okay, that's 30.
So
great.
30, 40, 50
That's
year
great.
old men, that's who I
40,
tend to look
50?
at. Right, because they have their shit together, they know what they want. Men in their 20s, men in their 30s, they don't know what they want typically.
They're
It's
the
very,
ones.
very rare to find that. So I don't necessarily agree with your point of they should be closer together. Like I said, women tend to mature significantly quicker than men. I know a lot of women in their 20s who are ready to settle down, but the men aren't.
I have one question for you. Would you prefer, here's the scenario. So a woman dates a man who's, say she's 21, dates a 35-year-old. Just really quick, do you object to that age gap?
It's getting a little out there, but it's not
It's
as
enough
bad
to give
as
you the
40.
ick.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not as bad as 40.
So let's say he's a good guy, he wants a monogamous relationship, doesn't cheat on her, wants long-term. Or would you prefer to see that woman, say, in the period over the course of 2 years, get kind of strung along by like fuck boys her age. Which do you prefer?
I think if the guy is like genuinely a good guy and actually interested in her, like for more than just her physical looks and her appearance and the fact that she can pop out 20 babies, like there's actually like care for her, then I think that a 35-year-old, 21-year-old, it's pushing it from my personal opinion. But I think that to your point, would be a better scenario than her.
Does it change if she's 40?
What do you,
Or sorry. Excuse me. Does it change if he's 40?
I just wonder why, like, out of all.
No, but okay. So the question is, in this scenario, he's a good guy, monogamous, wants a long-term relationship with her.
It raises more questions for me.
Right. But would you rather see her in the situation with the older man, who wants to have a long-term monogamous relationship with her, is not going to cheat, going to be loyal, or for her to just be hoeing around and sleep with 20 frat boys her age? Which would you prefer to see?
I mean, I prefer them both to be settled and happy.
Not the
but
question. That's not the question. Answer the question.
Stage of their life.
There's two options. Which would you prefer to see?
The 21-year-old and the 35-year-old?
Okay, so I changed it to 40. So
Okay.
21-year-old
I think it's
with the
starting to
40-year-old.
get weird at 40. But
Yes,
I do
you've
prefer,
already said that.
I know, but I was in the middle of saying I would prefer to see them both like settled and happy. And again, it's a little uncomfortable for me, but I would prefer that for both of them.
Over
yes.
her sleeping with men
And him,
her
but
age.
yes. Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
But because it's really common in these particular red pill settings that like
Is this a red pill setting?
come on.
Are you
I mean,
fucking
there's
retarded?
options there,
I'm
so-
sorry, what?
There was an option.
Bro,
there.
you
Anyways.
dropped the prop.
Well, I didn't know it was gonna come out.
Well, I mean, probably shouldn't play with props.
Brian, you don't need to be so rude.
Could I make a comment as soon as?
Like, why would you call me fucking retarded?
Because, I mean, you dropped the prop. It's on the floor now. You haven't done anything to pick it up.
Well, I would, but I'm a little distracted by you calling me fucking retarded.
Yeah, I mean, here's the tone policing again. So,
Oh, you're right.
is this a rage quit?
Like
No,
other.
I'm not rage quitting. You're just so disrespectful. Like, who?
You
But it's
literally,
disrespectful.
yeah.
Hang on. Listen, hang on. It's been super hostile. Let's finish the you don't want to finish the
I
convo?
love you, Andrew, but I'm not gonna be called fucking retarded.
It was kind of fucking
She was
retarded.
also
hate to hear
insulting
me
and
drive.
the mental illness and
It was
the,
a little.
I don't want to hear the rage.
Can I make a quick
Oh,
comment?
that's serious with me, girl.
Well, you know, hey, it happens.
I can agree with you on that one.
Yo, Desmond, you can't be on your phone right now, man. Are we?
Somebody sing a song. Happy birthday to you. No, I'm just kidding.
Are we
It's
off
not
the
that
topic,
serious.
or can I still comment on this?
What happened to that?
Doesn't exist anymore.
We need to start bullying people again.
I
know.
Bring
Yeah,
bullying
no.
back.
Some people need some thicker skin.
What's up?
It's not even.
Everything makes my eyes roll.
Huh?
I'm going to tell you right now. You can tell me you hate chicken
Okay.
and I'll be like, well, that's dumb. But that's just my face.
I mean, we need you to.
Can I-
we
can I
need
still
you to
comment?
leave. We need you to leave. You can't just
Please.
be hanging out back there.
I'm putting my shoes on.
Okay.
Unless you want to come back, participate in the panel. You don't. You can still come back, participate in the panel. Come on. I know for sure you've heard way worse than anything that's on this panel.
The minute we all got here, I don't know he can hear me.
Tell you what, I'll apologize for calling you a retard if you sit back down.
That's fair.
Apologize for
That is
calling
fair.
men mentally ill.
It'll be a genuine apology.
That's fair.
Wait, we can't.
I mean,
we can't.
we were having a good time. It was a good discussion, honestly. I would like to get back to it.
I mean, did she not call you guys mentally ill and disgusting?
Sorry, say that louder.
Did she guys not comment on men being mentally ill and disgusting for that? That was
Yeah, but I
insulting.
mean, so what? That's every feminist whoever's on the show. I just take it with a grain of salt at this point.
I'm willing to do an apology. I'll do an apology.
Yeah, but you can be respectful, period.
that was yeah. It's
I
just
don't know
a
that you're willing to do that, Brian. Like,
Weren't you in the military? Like, I'm just confused. Like, isn't this sort of banter? Like, are you really that?
you just retarded because
You fucked up our prop. You fucked up the prop.
Brian, it's not that big of a deal.
we're arguing
Like, you're the
different
lowest
ideas. That's
Okay,
Does anyone wanna
so
read out?
cool. Cool.
Can I DoorDash it?
Bro, you're killing it in the tone policing department. So you can sit back down or you can leave. I mean,
Yeah, honestly, sit back down. We can get back to having a good combo. It was
Andrew,
getting
she
good.
left.
It was getting good.
She
Okay.
said bye.
They're definitely.
She already gone?
Yeah.
She's upset. She's gone.
I guess, Morgan, we're going to have you sit in that chair, I guess. Welcome to the panel, Morgan.
I almost saw
Come on, which one?
Just before we wrap this,
Yeah, all right. Well,
can I say something
Yeah, go ahead.
regarding that? Just like an opposite opinion, at
Sure.
least.
Go
I mean,
ahead.
I was 21, and one of my most meaningful relationships was with a 42-year-old man, and he was not predatory. He didn't make me do anything I didn't want to do. I felt like I grew with that person more than anyone closer to my age, and I've even dated people younger than me. I've like kind of understood both sides of that aspect, and it really doesn't mean like the age aspect is like the deciding factor of how like, I don't know, it's not gross unless it's, I mean, we all know what like that level gets to.
Gross people are gross people regardless of age.
Exactly.
And it also kind
It's
of
all about
depends
maturity.
on the state of the woman, whether, when she's 20 and 21, the lifestyle she's lived.
Are they
how
meant-
she
yeah.
Well, and that's
grew
the
up.
thing too is you
Yeah.
get
You
a
don't
lot
know.
of people saying that it's gross for a man to want to be or older man to be attracted to a younger woman, but yet there's very rarely I feel like any talk about women that seek out
Younger-
older men.
If you wouldn't mind on the
Younger.
mic, can you put your mouth in front of the mic itself?
A bit
Because
closer.
otherwise the audio
Is this
sounds kind of
better?
funky on this end.
Can you hear me better? Yeah. I was saying that I feel like I'm not saying it's never talked about, but I feel like it's definitely not as common where you hear this talk a lot of basically it's icky and it's gross for older men to be attracted or seek out younger women, but yet it's not as talked about where you get younger women seeking out older men for their resources, and because let's be honest, that's usually why they're seeking out older men. Because they're more established, they're more.
That's like a majority.
Somebody
Like,
says
No,
her mic
I'm
is.
not saying there's anything
They're saying her
wrong.
mic is not on.
Mine or hers?
Mine?
Yeah, there's something seriously wrong with the audio there.
With mine?
With with just your mic specifically.
Did she pull that down?
So what it sounds like, Brian, is it sounds like she's kind of underwater a little bit.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, that sounds way better.
Better?
It's her hands.
It might have been me. It might have been me
pulling it.
No,
holding it.
now it's back. Now it's back. It's just that one mic.
I don't know. Do you want to use mine for a second?
Bro.
What do you want me to do?
I still think we need to talk about the retard thing. I think that
Maybe you can switch seats with that way you got her mic. I don't know.
I don't think
Here.
switching wouldn't. That doesn't make sense.
No. If she switched with Helmet Girl, then because Helmet Girl, you know what I mean. Then she has the mic. That's all I'm saying.
Can you hear me now, Andrew?
Well, I gave her mine.
She has a name, Andrew.
Yeah.
I gave her mine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you guys wearing name badges?
No.
Like, am I?
Well, if you
how
were
many
here on time, you
names should I
would've known our
remember?
names.
Okay, so here's what I'll do from now on. It'll be Tiffany 1, Tiffany 2, Tiffany 3, Tiffany 4, Tiffany 5. How about we just do
Can I
it?
be
Would that
Brittany?
make you feel better?
I want to be Brittany.
What do you want me to do? I'm supposed to remember everybody's name?
donated $200. I was drinking milk from a fresh bowl of cereal that I happened to spill on my shirt. I called myself a retardant and then proceeded to walk out on myself because I was so offended. Now that is meta.
That is pretty meta.
Good for him.
Bro.
quick little thing though, like is the same thing like applied to like older women that go for younger men? That seems pretty like normalized out.
And also calling men mentally ill and then getting called retardeds, but you just called all men mentally ill.
Whoa, that's a really good point.
So
she
you
called all men retarded.
ill.
She called.
But you got called retarded.
She called all men retarded. But I call her retarded. She's offended. What the fuck? That's fucking good Good catch. Good catch. Yeah, what's up? High five for that. Boom.
Like 20 minutes ago. So you guys, okay, so every man's mentally retarded, but she's not. And that
Honestly,
is very
She gets the ick. It's okay.
unrespectful.